The two most empowering realizations I've had as an adult are learning finally how chords connect with scales, and also realizing that you don't get to tell me it's sad when I make a peanut butter banana sandwich and put it on a flour tortilla. It's just as good. It should be more socially acceptable, but today we're talking about the key of A major and how you can kind of connect scales that you already know to really make some cool, thoughtful guitar things. This opened up my mind. This is super, super easy. We're going to learn basically one shape that you already know. It's the A major shape. Open A, 2D, 2G, 2B. It doesn't matter how you play it. You can play it as like a bar chord, like this. You can play it Mel bass style using all your different fingers like that. But we're going to use the other major chords in the key of A. They happen to be D major and E major. But we're not going to play them as different shapes. We're going to play them as the same shape through the neck. Okay? So, we can keep the shape intact like this. And then if we don't play the open A string, just get the strings that you're fretting, the D, G, and B strings. It goes 2, 2, 2. We go 7, 7, 7. There's your D major. It could be like a full D major bar chord like this, but you only really need the D, G, and B strings. And then you can go 2 frets higher to make E major. Again, E major, E major, E major. Learning different voicings is super, super important. Just like it's better to kind of mix it up when you're making a flour tortilla sandwich, which still counts as a sandwich. Honestly, a banana is like the perfect ingredient to have in a tortilla anyways. We can talk more about that later. Maybe that's a Patreon discussion. I'm sure you don't know. Don't let me know if you want to hear more about that. I'll just assume that you do. So check out the Patreon for that. But we've got this to this to this. Okay, you can get that open A string to kind of glue these chords together. A major, D, E. And especially you go back and forth between the D and the E. I think that has definitely a different kind of sound than in open chords, right? So, get used to the interval between the 2nd fret and the 7th fret. Again, 5 frets higher is how the distance would be from the 1 chord to the 4 chord. A, B, C sharp, D. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Easy way to get to those chords, okay? Now, you might already know that. If not, that's cool. Check that out for a while, practice it for a little bit. But being able to connect that with a scale, I think, is super, super important, all right? I know we all learn the minor pentatonic scale for pretty much every key. Maybe you even learned like E minor first. We're actually just going to take that 2 frets higher and go F sharp minor pentatonic. Just saying that you know the F sharp minor pentatonic is classy. It's like putting chia seeds on your peanut butter banana tortilla sandwich. So it's 2, 5, 2, 4, 2, 4, 2, 4, 2, 5, 2, 5. Now, what do we notice? How do we connect this scale shape already with this chord? Well, you notice that on the D, G, and B strings, when I play F sharp minor, which is the relative minor of A, we get all the notes in that chord. So now let's start to visualize pieces of that scale as extensions of the chord, okay? So maybe it just starts as 2, 4, 2, 4, 2, right? A major. A major. Hammer, hammer, 2. Back. Okay? Now, we can do that with any of the other major chords in this key. So let's go all the way to the D. Back to A. The 5 chord. 4 chord. 1 chord. Okay, so we're going to expand on that, but the connection is already made, okay? We'll talk a little bit more about those particular scale shapes and maybe how they could be different from each other, but at its core, hitting the major chord, and then wherever your pointer finger is, think of it as like maybe like the leftmost side or the side closest to the headstock of the guitar. And then finish out the minor pentatonic scale because you can connect the major chord and the relative minor pentatonic scale just as simply as that. Okay, we'll do some more exercises, but I want to talk about the sponsor of today's lesson, the Enya Nova Go Sonic. Matches my shirt today. How cool is that? These are on sale right now, so I'll have a link in the description because I've done a bunch of videos on this because it actually has a built-in speaker that you don't even need an amp to use. Right now I am plugged in to an amp, but again, if you don't have an amp or you want to travel around with something, you want the speaker built in, sounds great. Unplugged, plugged in, either way. I'll link you to some more videos if you want more information on this specific guitar, but the price is definitely right on these this month, so check it out. So we were starting with just that little piece, that little section of minor pentatonic. A major. And then you can call that the A major pentatonic scale, F sharp minor pentatonic scale. It doesn't matter what you call the scale, it's that you know that those notes are always available to you in a very simple spot, right? And again, having a chord progression to pair with how you practice scales, I think is super important. Because then everything starts to sound more musical. It's not like, all right, I'm going to practice my chords. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 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 D. You know, kind of a typical blues progression. And then I'm going to go to E, then D, then A. All right, got that under my belt. Now I'm going to practice my scales. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and okay, like, yeah, that's great. Those are cool different ideas. Practicing them contextually is the number one most important thing that you can do no matter what instrument you're playing, really almost no matter what skill you're working on. In context, throwing yourself into the fire, into chord progression, and then adopting those notes into what you're playing almost as ways to inflect the chord, right? In fact, if we just take like a few bars of just A, I'm just going to hang on A. I'm not even going to move to the D chord or the E chord. Let's see how I can inflect that using just 2, 4, 2, 4, and then 2 on the B string. Then go to the D. Just using that little 2-fret whole step kind of vibe in that particular spot. We haven't really even gone into the higher parts of the shape, which you can always pair. That's what's beautiful about the pentatonic scale is you can always pair that relative minor with any of the major chords, and we'll still stay in the same key. That's the beauty of having a 5-note scale instead of a full-on minor scale, something like that, right? So now let's branch off from just the D and G strings and go into that. The pointer finger, I'm thinking of my pointer finger to my pinky. You could use your ring finger if you want to. But just make the highest 2 strings now a 3-fret reach, okay? So now I go A. This is where you can really come up with those cool double stops where maybe you're like 4 on the G string, 5 on the B string, and then 2 and 2 on the same strings. Because now it sounds like you're inflecting a chord with smaller chords, is one way to look at that, right? Again, I love that, getting your pinky and your ring finger right there, okay? So again, B string is 3 frets higher from where your kind of home base is. G string is 2 frets higher, so 5 and 4, 2 and 2. Think of those. Every time you see A major, that's going to be available to you to inflect the chord and make it a little more interesting. Every time you see D major, E, okay, so that's just one way that you can kind of do that. A cool thing is to maybe do something like a little repetitive, make a little riff out of it, right? So it's like 1 and 2 and All I'm doing is 2, 4, 2B, then backwards, and then the second time around. So we have kind of like a motif, a little theme going on. A major. A major. D. E. Back to A. Okay, so as you can see, we're doing almost kind of like a chord, and then you can think of it as like maybe something a little more lead playing after that. And then maybe you can start combining them. The nice thing about the 4 and the 5 chord in any key is like we're right next to each other, right? 7, 7, 7, 9, 9, 9. We have, and then 9, 11. So it's like, okay, well maybe I want to extend what I know about this D major chord, but then I want to use that E major chord's extension, right? And then get down into the 12th right here. And then maybe kind of like run it into there. So D. Now I've kind of like gone into E major's shape, right? But I started on D. So there are so many different things that you can do, and it all starts with understanding how these chords connect with each other, okay? So I know that technically when you play A major and then you just use those notes, it's the A major pentatonic scale. I always just think visually in my mind's eye, it reads a little more interesting as the shape of the F sharp minor pentatonic. There's just something about that. 2 5 2 4 2 4 2 4 2 5 2 5. That always just it screams minor pentatonic to me. And again, that's just a perception. That's just how I'm perceiving it. Just like you perceive that flour tortilla thing to be sad. Is it just as sad on a corn tortilla? Probably is. Yeah. But honestly, we're not here to gatekeep. You know what I mean? Call a sandwich what you want. Sandwich is a sandwich. It's more or less healthy. Get some organic peanut butter. Don't be a chump. Stir it. Take the extra 2 seconds to stir it. It's worth it. I promise you. And then just live your life. Don't let people tell you what you're not allowed to do. Don't let people tell you that this is actually A major pentatonic when you want to say it's F sharp minor pentatonic. The flour tortilla sandwich of chords is this. I love it, right? Let's add one minor chord into the mix, right? Let's actually go, so A, D, E, F sharp, minor. Let's even get away from the tried and true minor pentatonic 2, 4, 2, 5, 2, 4 spot. Let's go into the 9th fret. So 9, 11, 11, 10, 9. And again, think of this finger right here as if we just take here, there's our E major, and then just kind of scoot it up, grab the root note on the A string, and now it's F sharp minor. 5 chord 6. Okay? 1 chord 4. 5 chord 6. That's really just a cool, very efficient way to play the main chords in any key. The 1 chord now, instead of playing A up here, if I want to be a little more centrally located, you probably already know this one, right? 7 D, 6 G, 5 B. Then you can just break it down, take it to that D major. And then you go to the E major, and then adopt that shape, and now it's F sharp minor. 6, 5, 4, 1. 6, 5, 4, 1. 6, 5, 4, 1. How awesome is that? So many things you can do, and that all comes from just starting to connect some of these chords that you already at least know the names of, but now see them in much easier locations, right? Because otherwise you'll see a chord chart and be like, oh man, all right, it's A, then it goes E, D, F sharp minor, then D. And it's like the changing is like, so you almost kind of got to move your elbow to kind of like really get everything in line. God forbid there's a C sharp minor. It's like, oh my gosh, just boom, A, D, F sharp minor, 1, 4, 5, 6. The efficiency here is so much, I think, more efficient than 1, 4, 5, 6. Again, it has a different sound to it, no doubt, but in a pinch, it's gonna sound good. And it's gonna sound good on your Enya guitar. Unplug it. Oh my gosh, my amp's gone. What do I do? Oh, I just hold this button, turn it on. Now I've got all my built-in effects going on. Woo! I got some distortion. And I'm good to go. Just like that. I can bank through different effects just by pressing the button. Now I got like a fuzz with the distortion. The sustain. Now this is a volume knob too. Get out of here. But the pickups still work the same. Enya, you've done it again. Truly, the flour, tortilla, peanut butter, chia seed, banana, honey, depending on what kind of vegan you are. I'm a pro honey vegan. Come at me in the comments. That's cool. Get yourself an Enya guitar. Affiliate link in the description. Thanks for watching. Talk to you guys soon.